Jim will be out of business
Weatherman
after
Pete.
August 3rd, so I'm practicing the weatherman. As you can see, I'm in Harlem, New York. What up, Harlem? I love y'all, you know, but...
I didn't start it. They asked me how I felt about what was said about me on another platform from some other people. You know, I'm not a troublemaker.
All you gotta do is pull up here. You know, you wanna join me? Pull up and join me. You know what I'm saying? Pull right up here and you can join me.
Jim Jones Styles P, let's talk about it.
Jim Jones.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, he's been in a few fights.
Has he won any?
I believe so.
Oh, really? Which one?
They say he beat up
His baby mama, something like that?
What happens when a Harlem hustler pokes the lion of Queensbridge? The answer exploded across timelines on a sweltering July morning when Jim Capo Jones sat in Angie Martinez's studio, cracked a half smile, and declared he'd run circles around Nasir Jones. Yes, that Nas. Within hours, hashtags lit up, rap elders weighed in, and clip channels minted gold from every new hot take. But beneath the chaos lurks a sharper question. Is virality the new royalty? Or does hip-hop still bow to legacy? Keep watching, because by the end of the story you might view the culture and your own click habits through a whole new lens. Jim Jones didn't whisper his challenge. He tossed it like gasoline on a barbecue. Seated across from the voice of New York, he leaned into the mic and said, almost casually, "Pull up my Billboard entries, then pull up Nas." The room paused. Angie raised an eyebrow, knowing full well she'd captured lightning. In that instant, a decade-long undercurrent of relevance debates shot to the surface. Clips hit X, IG Reels looped, and the algorithm did the rest. Outside the studio, the reaction was instant and visceral. Tweets stacked like dominoes. Capo's wildin. This can't be real. One Queensbridge loyalist fired back a single GIF of Nas holding a Grammy. No caption needed.
Man, I didn't know how many people love Nas. Well, people, and I'm watching people go absolutely batshit crazy, like, oh, damn.
Meanwhile, Jones retweeted a fan who wrote, "He said what he said." Yet the Harlem MC insisted he'd been dragged into the debate. On live streams, he pointed to an obscure campus podcast where a host asked whose music felt more current, Nas or Jim Jones. "That kid's clip went nuts," Capo shrugged. "I just answered a question." Answer he did, by rewriting it into a headline the internet couldn't resist. But that was only the first flare in a night sky about to blaze. To understand Jim's bravado, you have to rewind to the Dipset era. Pink Range Rovers, bandana-printed jackets, and hooks that turned block parties into fashion runways. Jones was never hailed the sharpest lyricist in the crew, yet he mastered momentum. We Fly High wasn't just a single, it was a brand before branding was a buzzword. Fast forward to the 2020s, and Capo's still playing the long game. In 2023, he laughed his way through a Breakfast Club segment, dismissing Pusha T's top 50 ranking with a now infamous question: name 5 Pusha songs that ring off outside. The clip snowballed. A month later, Clips debuted a song that sniped back at him during Pharrell's Louis Vuitton runway. Every jab pumped fresh oxygen into all parties' Spotify counts. Jones calls this digital jujitsu. Use your opponent's weight to tip the algorithm your way. It's brash, sometimes crass, but undeniably effective. Streams spike, interviews multiply, merch moves. Why drop $1 million on marketing, he tells his team, when Twitter will market you for free if you give them a headline? Still, some lions don't flinch at clickbait, and Nas is one of them. Picture a 14-year-old kid in '94, headphones hissing, as Illmatic opens with subway doors clanging. That album didn't just raise the bar, it invented new bars. 3 decades later, Nasir Jones remains a walking syllabus on storytelling, Grammy finally in hand, audit of the modern world etched across the acclaimed King's Disease trilogy.
Nah, he beat up dude at the restaurant.
Who, the cook?
Let me see.
I don't even think he's from Harlem, tell you the truth.
You don't think he's from Harlem?
Nope. I think they never talk about him being in Harlem. I think he's from North Bronx or some shit.
You know, he claims a blood gang out there.
Britney Spears claims a blood gang. And
while Jim flexed Billboard stats, Nas curated longevity. A residency at MSG, tech investments, a mass appeal media empire, 9 million monthly listeners who treat each drop like a sermon. He seldom replies to potshots. Gravity does that for him. When the Jim vs. Nas debate peaked, Queensbridge's quiet titan posted nothing but footage of an after-school charity ribbon cutting. Message received: legacy talks louder than live streams. Yet fans still debated relevance versus reverence. Was Jones right that constant content trumps canon? Or does canon expand each time an artist mentors, invests, and reinvents? In hip-hop, those answers aren't static. They battle in real time, bar for bar. But reverence alone won't calm a storm once social media smells fresh blood. Enter Styles P, Yonkers legend, lyrical arsonist, and no stranger to toe-to-toe mic wars. A podcast host floated the idea that Jones could edge him in a versus. Styles laughed, then let off. Me and Jim don't do the same thing. I bar FT down. Within a day, his words were stitched beside Jones' interview in reaction mashups that racked up millions of plays. Hot 97 lined up morning show debates. Redditors dissected discographies the way fantasy league addicts analyze yards after contact. Meme lords had a field day. Split-screen pics of Nas rocking a bespoke suit opposite Capo in ski goggles, captioned King's Disease versus Clout-Chasing Flu.
I think Jim was trolling. So I don't have much to say about it because I don't believe that Jim Jones believes that he's a better rapper than Nas, Pusha T, and Styles P.
Even non-rap outlets chimed in, proof that once hip-hop goes viral, it leaks into every feed. At street level, the convo hit barbershops and bodegas. Older heads cited one mic and made you look, while younger fans argued that Nas never popped up on TikTok. The argument wasn't really about skill. It was about measuring success in an era where a 15-second clip might eclipse 15 years of work. That tension kept viewers glued, waiting for the next quote to roast or repost. But Jim wasn't finished feeding the frenzy. Capo slid onto Instagram Live, Harlem skyline behind him, voice half joking, half deadly serious. I still ain't heard Nas go viral like this in his life. Somebody show me that.
Everyone's batting around Nas right now rapping. Everybody knows that. But listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school.
But it's cool. I know that I'm great at a lot of things that people would love to be great at. I accepted that a long time ago in life. You know, that's not going to stop my greatness. I'm going to continue to excel in who I am. I'm comfortable with that. You dig?
The comments section erupted. Heart emojis collided with skulls and clown faces. Jones smirked, pinning the most outrageous insults to the top. Each pin another invitation for debate. Then he upped the ante, tagging Styles P directly. Versus P? We can drop it same night and let the streets judge. Fans screenshot the post before IG could even process it. Blogs slapped on headlines. Clash of New York Titans? The proposition likely won't materialize. Versus after the pandemic lost steam, but the offer itself generated enough heat to keep Capo's name trending for another 72 hours. In the same breath, he acknowledged respect for Nas. He's a legend, we know that. But legends still gotta lace up if they want to talk numbers today. That line alone spawned reaction videos titled, "Did Jim Jones just humble brag his way out of trouble?" Yet amid every flex, he sprinkled business gems. Monetize controversy, own your masters, stay on fans' explore pages. It's part gospel, part infomercial, and for many viewers that paradox is irresistible. By now, the conversation had drifted beyond two rappers into the soul of the culture itself. Why does a throwaway soundbite overshadow award-winning albums? Because modern platforms reward outrage with impressions. Each hot take becomes an unpaid ad for subscriptions, merch drops, and back catalog playlists. Jim Jones didn't invent the formula, but he's turned it into a side hustle. Spark discourse, profit off the surge, and move on before the tide turns.
I was the CEO of Diplomats. I made Diplomats with him. I was with him for every bit of his journey. I held him down. I took that position of holding him down.
Capo versus Styles P.
He don't got enough catalog for that.
Record labels track these spikes like stock charts. A 15% uptick in Jones streams followed every mention on national radio last quarter. YouTube reactors farming ad revenue off response videos funnel new listeners toward both artists. Even Nas, silent in the exchange, sees upticks, proof that friction sells on both sides. Critics argue this churn cheapens art, turning nuanced legacies into clickbait fodder. Defenders say it's just hip-hop's battle DNA updated for the algorithm age. Either way, fans vote with their thumbs, not long-form think pieces. And as long as the thumbs keep scrolling, platforms keep paying. Still, algorithms can't measure respect, And that's where the heart of hip-hop drew a line in the sand. From Bronx Park jams to global stadiums, rap has always balanced braggadocio with homage. Capo's comments felt, to many, like a breach of that unwritten oath. Veteran writers called the debate one of the most disrespectful moments in recent memory, warning that casual slander erodes the pillars of the culture. Young commentators fired back. Gatekeepers clutch pearls whenever a new voice claims the throne. The tug-of-war exposed generational divides deeper than any single feud. To older heads, legacy is cemented by albums that shaped minds and moved movements. To digital natives, relevance is measured in momentum. Are you in my feed today? Did you soundtrack my gym session last night? Those value systems often collide, producing volcanic engagement numbers, and that very clash keeps retention high. What unites both camps, ironically, is passion. A dormant culture wouldn't erupt over a single boast. The very fact that millions argued, analyzed, and created reaction content proves hip-hop's pulse is strong.
This Jim Jones Nas wasn't even a debate. Nas is a legend. Nas put in work. Nas's lyrics.
The danger comes when cheap spectacle replaces meaningful conversation, when we consume controversy like fast food, numb to nutritional value. Yet every story needs a final act, a moment to step back from the flames and ask what, if anything, we've learned. Jim Jones may have set out to troll, but he accidentally triggered a masterclass on modern relevance. Nas, whether silent or subtly dismissive, reminded the world that one doesn't need to bark when history already roars on their behalf. Styles P showed that skill still matters, and the fans, well, the fans proved they're the true algorithm, deciding which narratives live or fade. So, where does that leave you, the viewer? Next time a wild quote pops up on your timeline, pause before you smash retweet. Ask, am I amplifying art or just feeding the outrage machine? Stream the records, yes, but also dig deeper than the headline. Hip-hop is a living archive. Treat it with curiosity, not just speed. Because here's the twist. Every click you give shapes tomorrow's discourse. If we elevate substance, the culture follows. If we reward noise, noise multiplies. Jim Jones mastered that equation. Nas transcends it. Their collision is our mirror. And that, folks, is the real forecast, no weatherman required. Stay tuned, because the next shockwave is always one mic drop away.